Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Indiana in Depth. I'm Max Resnick-Tewinkle, and as always, Rashard Fan is with me today. How you doing, Rashard?
I'm doing good, Max. Ready to get another week under our belts and cover this Penn State game.
Oh yeah, we were saying right before we started recording, you win some, you lose some, and this week, unfortunately, was one of those you lose some
Yes.
weeks. So let's jump right in here with our first play. It's going to be actually a positive completion to Peyton Hendershot. Michael Penix just throws a really nice ball over the middle to Peyton Hendershot, completes it for a nice big gain early in the game in the first quarter. So, what happened on this play that made it successful, in your opinion?
It's a great call by Coach Sheridan. I think they would have loved to see this happen more throughout the game. But great, you get Hendershot. Basically, Penn State's in a zone defense. You get Hendershot in an over route right here, going from one side of the field to the other, clearing the linebackers. And you had an under route as well coming back through, so kind of a little high-low concept. But Hendershot does a great job planting, getting in, finding a hole in the zone, and obviously Penix puts it right on him. It's a great positive completion and one to start the game that you want to see, especially being the underdog and being on the road.
And we see pretty early on here that number 13 kind of gets caught in the middle. Any idea what led to his confusion there that led him to get caught in coverage?
Yeah, for me, when I'm looking right now, it's just a zone concept. So he probably knew he should either got hands on Hendershot or not drifted that far to the outside of him. He should have stayed inside, making Hendershot have to kind of go around him and go over the top, giving that safety some time to get down there, but also making the throw a little harder for Michael Penix. So he's probably wanting to stay under that for as long as he can, obviously until it gets across the other side of the field.
And anything that Peyton Hendershot did well here, or was this kind of just good route planning by Coach Sheridan?
I think it's just one of them times. One, you get a great call, great offensive call on the defensive scheme and play call for Indiana. But then also, yeah, I think Hendershot making sure running that route, going underneath, getting that hole, and sometimes it's cool, but getting that head back around. Because oftentimes, you have receivers who keep running and they may turn their head too late and that ball's on them and it's an incomplete pass. But I think great accuracy here by Penix, and then a great catch and finish by Hendershot, especially early on to get this game started.
And I just wanted to bring it more general here. Why does it seem like there were so many of these plays last year, these big down the field plays for Michael Penix, but this year it seems like they're a bit more few and far between? Do you think Coach Sheridan's scheme has changed at all this year, or is it just those opportunities aren't coming up as much?
It's hard to say. I would say one, when you have the season that Indiana had last year, teams scheme more. They're able to see what you like to do. They have a lot of returning guys, and so I think Penn State, you got to give credit to their defense. I think they knew the challenge of this game. They heard all the noise and people talking about how Indiana upset them last year and could do it again this year. But they made sure that wasn't going to happen. So I think defensively they were locked in. They're ready, well coached, and had a great defensive game plan. And I think with Penix, obviously, it's looking like he may be out for the season.
Yeah, an AC separation for Michael Penix. So right now, I believe he's kind of out indefinitely. So just like they did last year, the Hoosiers are going to have to turn to Jack Tuttle and see what they can make out of the rest of the season here.
Yes, and so yeah, with him being out for the season, I think it gets important, but I don't think he ever truly looked comfortable. Maybe the Western Kentucky game, you can argue that, but even that game wasn't a lot of big plays, wasn't a lot of deep throws for him. But the show goes on, is what they say, and Tuttle has to come up. And when he first got in there, he made a good throw, obviously, to start a good deep throw to start it off when he got in there. But he's going to have to consistently perform at a high level, and hopefully get comfortable if the Hoosiers want to see success.
Definitely. And he did get an opportunity towards the second half of the game. But going back to the first quarter once more, we actually have a very positive play. I'm sure you love to see this as a cornerback. Very positive play by the defense. Sean Clifford's just going to drop back in the pocket and toss one straight to Raheem Lane. An interception by the Indiana defense. He's going to return it all the way to the Penn State 20. So what did Raheem do well on this one?
Oh man, what a beautiful call. You get a little cover three action with a little five under, three deep, just meaning three men in the back deep, and then you have five underneath in the zone concept. And when you look specifically here at Raheem, I think he does a great job in his position as that safety coming down, sitting in his zone responsibility, but reading the quarterback's eyes. Understanding that when he comes down, there's no need to keep expanding towards the sideline because there's no work over there. The quarterback isn't looking over there right now, but he's just reading his eyes. He sees that he's locked in right here, and he just settles in a perfect spot to intercept this over route. I mean, a beautiful break, beautiful catch, and I mean, this is picture perfect. As a coach, what you want, what you practice in drills in live situations, and he does a great job of making this play, taking advantage. And this is a big play for the Hoosiers, and obviously wish they would have capitalized because that could have really changed the game. And this is a great play by him.
So you mentioned the cover three scheme. It doesn't look like he totally latches onto someone. He's just kind of floating in the middle. What zone on the field was his?
So yeah, you see when he comes down right here, he's in that zone in between the numbers and the hash. Right there, just settling down. Oftentimes they try to get under the number one receiver, but he realized there's no work out there, so there's no need to expand. So let me sit right here on the top of the numbers and just read the quarterback, see where he takes me. And he knows right now there's some work coming back to me from the other side of the field. Let me settle there. And as soon as that quarterback winds up to throw, he's able to break on it. Quarterback doesn't even see him until probably it's too late. So this is just picture perfect, beautiful. We do drills like these in practice where you work on getting to your zone, settling down, reading the quarterback eyes, and breaking on the ball. Always have, and this is a prime example of him taking that practice right into the game and making a big play in a big time game.
Great play for sure by Raheem Lane. I wanted to talk a little bit about the offensive line play for Penn State as well. If you see here, number 68 jumps from his spot at left guard and then pops all the way over here to where the right tackle starts usually. So what's the purpose of him kind of making that jump? Any idea why he came over to block Ryder Anderson?
Yeah, just a communication and check, counting numbers, understanding that that's where the his responsibility is coming. And I believe right here, obviously you have it looks like from my eyes, a RPO, but they're actually setting up a screen right here. So I think the option for a screen, they're setting that up for later in the game as you see him dip out, and that could be it all. So it's a lot of options right here. I'm seeing Penn State potentially setting up to see what IU is doing. And where they have him right here, obviously it wasn't gonna a screen called, but I can see 6 to 8 coming due to blocking responsibilities, having to come up and make sure somebody picks up that man on that side, even though Ryder's obviously dropping back into coverage.
And does that create when a lineman comes out of their original slot and goes somewhere else? Does that create any advantage or disadvantage for the defense?
I mean, the only time I would say is if it's a miscommunication. So what if he thought the pressure was coming from that way and they bring overload from that side he left? Then yeah, you have a big gap open. And obviously he didn't have to worry about that. They communicated right on that part, but just depends on kind of what the defense of play is called and if they can kind of confuse you and get one up on you.
The final play we're going to look at this week comes in the third quarter. Penn State already up 14-0. And Sean Clifford's just going to escape out of the pocket and dump it down to his man who's going to waltz right in for a touchdown here. What went wrong on this play, Rashard?
It's one of the hardest things for a defense is a broken play. Oftentimes when you're man-to-man, it's a little easier because you're already initially on a man. And so right here, you got Penn State running crossing routes. They're creating confusion, rubbing off on guys. You got guys going from one side of the field to another. And so initially, Indiana has it covered. They do well. They get pressure. So it forces Clifford to step up into the pocket. But right here, when he steps up and he doesn't see anybody directly in front of him, he has the option he can run for the first down on fourth and 4, or he can pass it. And he really just made it hard for the linebacker there to kind of decide whether to stay back or go. But I think the hard thing is, since it's a zone, he didn't, or it appears to be a zone, I will say. it looks like he didn't have a man to be attached to. So his thought was, let me go get the quarterback before he runs. And number 5 for Penn State, who is their premier wide receiver on that team, and future first round pick, gets open, slips through, and once he catches the ball, he does the rest and kind of starts to pull away from the Hoosiers with that touchdown.
So that linebacker, number 46, Aaron Casey, that you mentioned, what could he have done better in this situation that could eliminate that check down option?
Honestly, it's always hard. The coaches would have probably liked for him to find a man, but it's hard to sound there because when you're looking at it right here, obviously you see all the confusion. Right here, I think he should stick. His eyes are in the backfield, so he sees Clifford running, but he probably should have picked up number 5 right there. And, you live to fight another down. You let Clifford run for the first down. And, you just go on to the next play. But instead, he decides to come up, try to make a tackle on the quarterback, and it turns into a touchdown just because a wide open receiver on a broken play.
So that's going to do it for us this week. A bit shorter of an episode. The Hoosiers are in a bye week, so we'll be back after the Michigan State game. But for now, enjoy this episode, and thanks so much for watching.